Today I'm going to talk about lighting and basic lighting, and then next week I'll actually have some demonstrations about lighting. But today let's just get an introduction to lighting. The first thing that we're going to talk about will be just the basic three-point lighting setup. Um, you can go out and purchase a lighting kit from a variety of different websites. I primarily use the B&H to buy professional lights for video shooting, and I have several different types of lights. Most of them are like around the 250 or 500 watt range. We have two different types of lights that I use. I use what's called a soft box and a hard light, and just depending upon what you're doing will depend upon what your type of lights you're going to use. In this case, usually if I am shooting an interview, I'd probably use one soft box and one hard light or two hard lights, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now, and you're going to see some examples of those lights. First, let me talk a little bit about Premiere. I'm using Adobe Premiere right now. I've imported my diagram that I wanted to show that has an example of the different lights, but one of the problems is the diagram that I'm using here is larger than my viewable area. Remember that I'm using a widescreen video here that's 720 by 480 at a 1.2 pixel aspect ratio. And what that means is that the image that I scanned, as you can see here, is 1,305 pixels by 1,682. So it's a lot bigger than my viewable area inside of Premiere. So when you import an image into Premiere that's larger than the viewable size, what can you do? Well, you can shrink it down, and in fact, it's the same process you could do inside of Final Cut also. The easiest way to do it is to select it in the timeline and go underneath clip, video options, scale to frame size. So if you have a bunch of photos or images or anything, in this case a scan that is larger than the viewable area that you see inside of Premiere, if you just use the scale to frame right here, it'll scale it down and fit inside the frame. That's probably the quickest and easiest way to do it. Another way to go about it if you wanted to do it by hand would be to go under the effects control, and then under motion is a scale option where you can scale your image up and down. As you can see right here, I can scale it up and down inside of the effects control window here. What I wanted to do was just to show you this frame, and then I will actually make a movie out of this so you can actually see it. But I wanted to, let's make this a little bit bigger here so we can see it. So in the example that we're going to look at today, I've used a basic three-point lighting setup. I have a light that's a backlight, which is a hard light, which is above the actor, that comes down onto usually the top part of the head. As you can see here in the final version here, you see the light is bouncing off the top of the subject. Okay, that is usually a hard light. Okay, a hard light is when it's really bright and doesn't really have diffused light to it. Now I'll show you some pictures next week of what a hard light and a soft light look like. Some photographs. Next, we have a fill light, which is usually a light that is not as bright or is half as intense as the key light, okay, which is this one that you see in this window here. The fill light is usually used to enhance the shadows that are being affected and made by the key light. And then with all three of the lights together, you could see the final version here. Okay. Now, one of the things, if you look at the diagram that I've posted, the PDF that is on the website, they talk a lot at the very last page about this nose carrot, and he talks about how the nose carrot can be used to you can look at the nose and the shadow that is being made by the nose to give you proper lighting, and making sure that the shadow does not go over the lips or over the cheek here. And so by reviewing and looking at the shadow there, you can see how if your lighting is proper. I have another diagram that I'm going to open up here. If we look at this diagram, Let's put it after this one. Stretch it out a little bit here. Oh, no, that's the same one. No, I have another one here somewhere. Let me make this 15 seconds here. There it is. Stretch this out to 15 seconds too. Again, this is too big for the viewable area here, so I can shrink it down by using the actually, we can move it around using the effects control here. If I click on the motion, the word motion, I can drag it around, and I want to show a close-up here of this 3-point interview setup. Here's a top-down view of the diagram, and it's in the handout, so everything that I'm talking about here you can get from the PDF here, a better view, but I wanted to talk a little bit about it while I'm here on the microphone. As you can see here, the backlight is usually behind the subject matter, pointing down at the head, or whatever the subject is. In this case, it's a person. The fill light is usually on an angle, and it's 50% here, 50% of the key light. Okay, and the key light's usually on an angle here. Again, the key light, if you look at the nose shadow, will help you adjust where the key light would be and the fill light. Okay, and as you can see, the subject matter is slightly tilted a little bit. And so the example that I have here is located in a video that we shot last semester. In this case, if we look at our subject here, again, our subject has a nose carrot. If you look at the nose here, you want it to be a little bit to the side, but not over top of the lines that are above the lips here, but a little bit to the side. And you don't want very harsh shadows. In this case, when I'm doing an interview setup or an interview lighting, again, the light is on the top as well as along the shoulders here. It gives the subject depth to it. So having light on top of the head and along the shoulders here gives depth to the subject matter. And if you look at this, this is an interview. One of the problems with this is a little bit, I think the backlighting is too harsh, and you get the shadow from his head being bounced forward across his clothes here, which probably is a little bit of a mistake, I would say. How you could get rid of that would be a little bit more key light maybe, or reducing the top lighting here, maybe, so it doesn't cause a shadow. That's the problem with this view right here, is there is a shadow that is being done over top. But this is a nice sort of lighting example, and if you don't have 3-point lighting, you can just try and practice with some of the lights you have in your house. One of the things you don't want to do, and if you look at some of the handout in the PDF, some of the things you don't want to do. In fact, let's open that PDF up for just a minute here so that we can see what I'm talking about here. So let me just go and open that PDF up, and then we can then one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're talking about and doing lighting is really mixing the different temperatures of light. And I think this first page of the handout here gives you a great sort of diagram of what I'm talking about here. Our eyes tend to see everything pretty much the same color of light, but the video camera can only sort of image one temperature of light. Okay, in this case, outside light is different than inside light, which is different than incandescent light. And I think this is a nice sort of diagram of what it is. And if I zoom in here a little bit, you can get an idea that the fluorescent light is one temperature, the outside light is another temperature. As you can see here, the fluorescent light would be around 4,500 Kelvin. K stands for Kelvin. Sunlight is 5,600 Kelvin. And then incandescent light is around 3,200 Kelvin. So if you look at the different light here in this one room, this is what the video camera would see, as well as this is what our eyes usually see, because our brains can interpret and blend it together. So one of the things you want to try and avoid is mixing outside lighting with inside lighting in the same interview. So if I was going to interview somebody, I would most likely not want to put them behind a window or by a window and then put one of my inside lights, incandescent light, on the subject, because and in fact that's exactly what happened in this video. Let me show you one of my video problems. I always have problem interviews, and you'll see a couple problem videos this week that I'll link up to the website. But mixing of light is a common problem, and it happens to me all the time. If I look at where's my website? Under my interview section on the Cool to Film website, this one right here, I've mixed inside and outside lighting in this interview. Oh, it's downloading here. Guess we'll have to wait a little bit. But you can see it right here, just from the first view. I was trying to get the lighting from outside to interview this subject, and then boom, right here in the corner, I did not notice it, but the video camera noticed it right away. I had this bright, harsh lamp that he had on over here. What I should have done is turn that off. In addition, I really needed a light to bounce in here, and what kind of light I could have used from my lighting kit, because it's more balanced towards the outside light. It's more of a natural light, the lighting kit, compared to an incandescent light like this. So a common problem that happens as far as lighting, you can see right here, the inside light has this temperature. In fact, the camera was balanced for the outside light. In fact, he's a little bit off of color, but you can see the really harsh of the lamp right here that your eye really didn't notice. So those are some of the things you should consider when you're looking at lighting. Again, they talk about in the handout about the different temperatures. They talk about the different types of lighting here. And so read this and look at how the different lighting setups can be, and next week we'll actually have some lighting setup actually happening. Oh, and again, the carrot, nose carrot, make sure you read that and see about that.